Welcome back, guys. Tactical AV here. I've got sort of an update video for you guys today, as well there's a ton of stuff that I need to get across. But before we get started here, one of the things I'm going to do is talk about the firmware update for the Marantz Denon AVRs and pre-pro processors out there. But around about Father's Day, June 2019, turned my Marantz on and got an notification that there's a firmware update available for my model. I'm going to move you on over to the screen here. We're going to take a look at the firmware update available. So I actually ended up contacting Marantz Sound United and getting an overall understanding of exactly what was all involved in this firmware update. So I ended up getting the lowdown directly from them. Now, essentially, the Marantz and Denon firmware update that's been released around Father's Day. So according to Marantz, technically, this exact firmware update actually released in May, June. It depends on your location and, well, what models you've got. See, I'm just going to go here and update this firmware, but according to Marantz, this is technically the Dolby Vision and HLG Hybrid Log Gamma HDR updates for any of the Marantz Denon AVRs and pre-pros that didn't yet get it yet. Usually when you click on included items in your firmware to try and determine what exactly it is, it's not going to give you much. However, the only other thing that Sound United did let me in on is that there is a Pandora fix. So they went ahead and have fixed the Pandora issue that Marantz and Denon AVRs and pre-pros were having, but mainly this is definitely the final Dolby Vision and HLG firmware update for the Marantz Denon AVRs and pre-pros out there now. But I'd be pretty confident that if you turn on your Denon or Marantz and you did find a firmware update now, that you're 100% certain that you've got Dolby Vision and HLG support on board. So while this firmware update's downloading, I'll go ahead and fill you guys in on some of the other AV news, and well, you'll be coming to expect a few videos with a lot of updates shortly here. But first and foremost, get you guys firmware update and everything up to date. It's a pretty decent download, so there's some good information that we're getting in this update here. Keep in mind, though, if you've got these things connected to the internet, wireless or wired, you're going to be notified if there's a firmware update, well, just by switching the unit on. But for those of you that aren't aware of your specific model, and if there's an update for that, well, you can just easily go to the Marantz firmware update website, select your Marantz model here, and type in the serial number, and you'll find exactly which updates are available, if any. Denon owners should be good just going over to the Denon website as well. Alright, so that firmware update went ahead and downloaded itself pretty quick here. We're all set up and back up and running in no time. But I wanted to talk to you guys about some other things as well, and well, what's been going on in the AV industry right now, and what's some of the big news out. First off, I'll point out that most of you who are subscribed members to the Emotiva website probably received the email about the tariffs and the increase in pricing that Emotiva will be performing. What they tell me, it came down to about a 5% increase on their power amplifiers and other home theater and stereo equipment, most likely. But we'll be talking further about that stuff soon, guys. We've also essentially got Sound United as the big dog, essentially owning the AV industry, with the AVRs pre-pros essentially all offered by Sound United now, with Pioneer and Onkyo and Tegra on board. But nonetheless, they're all under the Sound United umbrella at this point, besides Yamaha, Sony, and a few other esoteric brands, NAD, Cambridge Audio, so on and so forth. There'll also be some new SVS speakers I'll have to have you guys check out shortly here in a video. I'll also definitely be having a video coming on the projectors and whatnot, so check that out as well. Still in the process of getting the home theater set up, and obviously all the wires and cords hidden and behind the wall, and same with the gear. Carpet being replaced, insulation between the walls, ceiling, so on and so forth. But I want to briefly just talk a little bit about the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray movies as well. So this last month, I think Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the original releases, were actually one of the 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays that had released in the last 2 months. One of the bigger titles that they've mastered in 4K for the first time. But hands down, Black Hawk Down definitely takes the cake on 4K Ultra HD with its Dolby Atmos and HDR. I'd have to say right now, definitely the #1 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray for surround sound in any home theater, hands down. Okay, so what were some of the other big releases? We actually had a pretty popular movie summer this so far, with May, June, and July coming with a few 4K Ultra HD releases we haven't seen yet. So we've also got Pet Sematary releasing, I believe, around July 9th on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. I could be wrong about that, though. I'll double check. I think this one might be a popular hit as well on 4K HDR. But for those of you paying attention, Disney's Dumbo and Jordan Peele's Us really took the cake for this last week's top 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray movie. Yeah, it's got Dolby Atmos, and yes, I believe it's also got 4K Dolby Vision HDR. Nonetheless, Jordan Peele's Us was actually a great movie. My wife and I sat down on day one, Tuesday, when this movie released, and we just had a blast. We loved Get Out, Jordan Peele's Get Out. Jordan Peele's Get Out was a pretty popular hit, nonetheless still is this day, to 98% on Tomato Meter. But this film did not feature any Dolby Atmos and no Dolby Vision HDR as of yet. But Us ultimately was a great hit. We loved the film story itself, cinematics, and when you've got that Dolby Atmos going in the Dolby Vision 4K HDR, with the interesting music and score Jordan Peele added to both these films, it really made for an engaging, interesting home theater experience nonetheless. Well, besides the fact that we both really liked the movie as well. Okay, so moving on here in the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray market, what were the other main, really great hits that have come out in the last several months? Well, first of all, we've touched a lot on the Dolby Atmos content. In fact, 6 to 12 months ago, you saw about 50% of the Blu-rays on 4K Ultra HD released with Atmos. You saw 20% around with just plain old lossless DTS HD master audio, and well, the other 5 to 10% we saw with, yeah, that's right, DTS-X. So nonetheless, we still see very minimal discs coming out on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray with DTS-X. However, the latest one that I am aware of, and probably one of the better ones, is Backdraft on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. So this is a newer release that just came out in the last, I want to say the last month or so, and it had to be remastered. Now, it does feature DTS-X, but I will say that even an older film like this is probably a more engaging soundtrack on those high channels and in just about any home theater over most of the plain Jane Dolby Atmos soundtracks that I've heard on my theater so far. So before we move any further here, let's not forget the Toy Stories. Remember, these were a recent release on 4K Ultra HD, I believe within the last 30 days. We've got #1, #2, and 3 on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray that have just released. But keep in mind another great one with a lot of lifelike, bright, vibrant colors. This is another one that you'll see on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, as well as on streaming with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. And if I'm not mistaken, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, it looks like it's going to come with the Dolby Atmos as well as the Dolby Vision HDR. So the next 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release I want to talk about that's been pretty big over the last few weeks has actually been the Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the original that is, on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. So this one they're actually running a lot of promotions with. If you notice on Vudu, it's purchased from $6.25 to $7.8 and get $8 off of one ticket to see Spider-Man Far From Home in theaters. However, me myself, I wasn't able to find Ghostbusters on 4K Ultra HD with HDR anywhere on Vudu to buy or rent, that is. So it looks like you're stuck having to get the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray if you really want the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 in the Dolby Atmos and HDR. Recently, just taking a look at Best Buy, I actually noticed the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 bundle on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray for around $40. That was on sale too, mind you. Alright, so moving on from Ghostbusters. So, I'm forgetting one of the major franchises that recently released on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray that have been reviewed by a number of different places. And yeah, that's right, guys. It's the Batman series for the first time on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray with Dolby Atmos. So these were ones that I was particularly on the fence about getting personally for myself. After reading some of the reviews, it was definitely number 1 and 2 that I was really interested in getting. However, after reading the reviews, I found out that number 2, Batman Returns, was actually higher rated than the original. Nonetheless, it's kind of interesting, though. This is another one that you can buy on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, get your Dolby Atmos and your Dolby Vision HDR. At the same time, you can actually buy it, rent it, or, well, watch it for free now on Vudu in Ultra HD 4K HDR with Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, guys. So I'm actually highly surprised by this one. However, after reading the reviews, if you consider the movie Jordan Peele's Us was highly recommended on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, whereas Batman and Batman Return, well, they were not that highly recommended releases. After being in Best Buy this last weekend, though, I can and will say that I did see these guys individually priced on sale for around $25 a piece. But okay, my take on the Batman and Batman Return on 4K Ultra HD at least is Batman number 1 was given not the greatest Atmos surround rating. I've heard that the height channels just were not engaged with the best use. However, got an update or a little bit of an increase in the amount of height channel information that we were able to hear in at least Batman Returns. However, I still would say that the Batman Returns actually did a little bit better of a job in terms of remastering the film. But nonetheless, that's extremely interesting that now, starting Monday, today, you can actually just go on Vudu and for free, with ads, watch, yes, the actual 4K Ultra HD Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision version of Batman and Batman Returns for free, guys. Don't buy the movies anymore. In fact, you could even buy them on here in 4K for $14.99, less than you could at the store anyway. Although I'd have to rate the Batman releases probably down there towards the worst out of all the ones I've talked about, with I'd say Black Hawk Down being number 1 and probably Us being number 2. But speaking of free stuff, in fact, this last couple of weeks, my wife and I have been kind of experimenting, so to speak, with the different streaming options, channels, packages, so on and so forth for TV and movies. I've actually went ahead and canceled my next Netflix subscription with the intention of, well, before July 3rd or 4th, when Stranger Things Season 3 is being released, we're going to actually pick Netflix back up. However, we've been searching around for some interesting applications, paid and unpaid, just to see what our options are for free stuff out there. So in the next couple of weeks, guys, I'll actually be having a bunch of different types of videos, but one of them is going to be on the different streaming platforms and services compared, rated, and, well, reviewed. And for those of you that are into Rune, or have ever used or even heard about Rune, I'll have some stuff on that later coming up shortly as well. One thing I will be doing soon here, actually, is as a comparison between Tidal Premium, the hi-fi mastering version of Tidal, of course, versus Spotify Premium. And one of the things I wanted to talk about also with you guys is, in fact, at Expona Audio event 2 years ago, this would have been around 2018 Expona, I actually got a chance to talk to Dan Loffman, President and CEO of Emotiva, in person for quite a bit. And while talking, I threw out there, I'd love to do some reviews on the Emotiva products. Well, I'm glad to say that his response was, let me know what you want, and we'll go ahead and get the gear out to you. So I'm really happy and glad to say, guys, that I'll be ultimately Emotiva's just about first affiliate out there. Which really makes me happy, guys, because there's nothing I'd love more than to be able to bring you just about all of the greatest, newest Emotiva gear. And let you know, guys, how it works in both the home theater and stereo 2-channel music listening setups. So I'm glad to say that in addition to Emotiva, we'll also be working with a few different brands at getting you guys some more interesting reviews and tests. And, well, don't forget, I've got an entire dedicated home theater here yet to finalize and to set up once and for all and hide all these nasty wires and cables. We've got our projection screen to put up and whatnot, height channels to permanently install. But best of all, gonna have some brand new gear to be able to show you guys. And also, for those of you that own the Logitech Harmony Elite remote control, well, I'll have some interesting things you're able to do with the hub and Wi-Fi home automation things you can do with this. Also, for those of you that are interested in outdoor gear and equipment, camping, planting, gardening, so on and so forth, even grilling. But since I'll be taking the channel in new directions, well, I'll be bringing you guys a lot of new, interesting content lately. But that's going to wrap this video up, guys. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel and you're into anything audio video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But I'll actually be building a very modest, very minimalistic budget 2-channel stereo setup in this room. And for those of you that are looking for alternatives to cable, well, I'll have a few different options for you guys coming soon. But believe it or not, there's a lot of new applications and different services out there offering free trials or just simply free TV. So for those of you that liked the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, guys. And well, take care, guys. And everyone, please have a happy and safe July 4th. Spend it with family if you can, guys. Most of all, take care. I'll see you soon.